The morning sun cast long shadows across the ruins of New Tokyo when Admiral HFY received the confirmation he had been waiting for. The holographic display in his command chamber flickered to life, showing the blue-green marble that was Earth, now significantly dimmer than it had been 72 hours ago. The orbital bombardment had been precise, calculated, and devastatingly effective. "Status report," he commanded, his four arms folding behind his back in the traditional Kethmoran pose of satisfaction. 8 billion. 200 million confirmed casualties, Admiral, reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Yexmar. The electromagnetic pulse weapons disabled their global communications network first, followed by targeted strikes on major population centers. Mumbai, Lagos, Sao Paulo, Jakarta, Cairo, all reduced to radioactive craters. The humans never had time to mount a coordinated defense. Admiral HFY's mandibles clicked approvingly. The Kethmoran Empire had conquered 47 star systems over the past millennium, but Earth had posed a unique challenge. Unlike other species they had subjugated, humans had shown an alarming tendency toward technological advancement and military innovation. The decision to eliminate the majority of their population had been strategic, not emotional. Leave too many humans alive, and they might become a problem later. "What about the survivors?" HFY inquired. "Scattered across rural areas, underground bunkers, and remote installations. Approximately 700 million remain, mostly in North America, Northern Europe, Siberia, and the Australian outback. They pose no significant threat to our occupation forces." The Admiral's confidence was built on solid intelligence. The Galactic Empire's xenological studies had painted humans as a young, aggressive species prone to internal conflict. Their own histories spoke of constant warfare among their own kind. Surely, with their major governments and military installations destroyed, the survivors would either submit or perish from the harsh new reality of their world. "Deploy the occupation forces," HFY ordered. "Begin establishment of mining operations on all major continents. The humans' industrial infrastructure is crude but salvageable. We'll adapt it for Empire use." As the massive Kethmoran dreadnoughts descended through Earth's atmosphere like mechanical storm clouds, their crews felt the familiar satisfaction of another successful conquest. The ships landed in the ruins of major cities, disgorging thousands of troops and workers. The plan was simple: extract Earth's resources, use the surviving humans as a labor force, and add another conquered world to the Empire's ever-expanding territory. What Admiral HFY did not know was that his intelligence reports had focused heavily on Earth's conventional military structures and civilian populations. The reports had mentioned something called black projects and classified military programs, but these had been dismissed as typical examples of primitive species attempting to hide their limited defensive capabilities. In the depths of the Rocky Mountains, buried beneath 2 miles of granite and steel, General Patricia Hayes stood before a wall of monitors displaying the devastation above. The mountain facility had been designed to survive direct nuclear assault, and the alien bombardment, while devastating, had failed to penetrate its defenses. Around her, military personnel from various branches worked frantically at computer terminals, their faces grim but determined. "Ma'am, we're receiving scattered communications from NORAD Cheyenne Site R and Mount Weather," reported Colonel Martinez. "All backup command structures remain operational." "What about overseas assets?" Hayes asked. "Communications with our allies are sporadic, but we're picking up activity from British and French underground facilities. The Russians went dark after the Moscow strike, but their Siberian installations appear intact." General Hayes nodded grimly. The loss of life was catastrophic beyond imagination, but humanity's military leadership had planned for scenarios exactly like this. The Cold War had taught them the value of redundancy, and decades of science fiction had prepared them for the possibility of alien invasion. Status on Project Lazarus? Colonel Martinez's expression grew more serious. All teams are accounted for and awaiting orders. The subjects have been briefed and are requesting immediate deployment. Project Lazarus had begun in the late 1980s, born from the darkest corners of American military imagination. While the public debated defense budgets and conventional weapon systems, a small group of military visionaries had asked a different question. What if America needed soldiers who could operate beyond the normal limits of human capability? What if conventional warfare became obsolete? The project had drawn inspiration from various sources. Special operations forces like the Navy SEALs and Army Rangers provided the foundation of tactical expertise. Advances in medical science offered new possibilities for human enhancement. But most importantly, America's unique cultural mythology provided something no other nation could offer: the archetype of the unstoppable individual warrior. They had studied the legends. The mountain men who had survived alone in the wilderness for months. The frontier marshals who had brought order to lawless territories. The soldiers who had held impossible positions against overwhelming odds. America had always produced individuals who seemed to transcend normal human limitations when faced with existential threats. The scientists and military planners of Project Lazarus had asked a simple question. Could these qualities be enhanced, refined, and weaponized? Dr. Sarah Chen, the project's chief medical officer, had spent 15 years answering that question. Her team had combined cutting-edge genetics, advanced prosthetics, and psychological conditioning to create something new. Not quite human, not quite machine, but something that retained the essential human qualities of adaptability, creativity, and sheer bloody-minded determination. The first wave is ready for deployment, she reported to General Hayes via secure communication. Teams Alpha through Delta have been enhanced and equipped. They're requesting permission to begin reconnaissance operations. General Hayes looked at the monitors showing alien ships landing in the ruins of American cities. Kethmaran troops were already beginning to establish control points, setting up energy barriers around key locations, and beginning to round up human survivors. The aliens moved with the confidence of a species that had done this many times before. Dr. Chen, what are our people capable of? There was a pause before the response came. General, we've taken everything that made American warriors exceptional throughout history and amplified it. Enhanced reflexes, improved strength and endurance, advanced tactical processing, and most importantly, psychological conditioning that removes the normal human hesitation to engage in extreme violence when necessary. But that's not what makes them special. Explain. Ma'am, every other enhanced soldier program in history has tried to remove human weaknesses. We took a different approach. We enhanced human strengths while keeping the emotional core intact. Our subjects aren't emotionless killers. They're protectors who've been given the tools to protect effectively. When they see what these aliens have done to our people, to our children... Dr. Chen's voice trailed off. General Hayes understood. The Kethmoran Empire had just triggered something they couldn't possibly comprehend. They had studied human military capabilities, but they hadn't understood the psychological mechanisms that drove human warfare. They saw humans as just another species to be conquered, not recognizing that they had just attacked a civilization that had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of violence in defense of their own. Deploy all teams, General Hayes ordered. Rules of engagement are unrestricted. These aliens want to see what humans are capable of when pushed to the edge. Let's show them. In hidden facilities across North America, men and women who had volunteered for humanity's most classified program began to emerge from the shadows. They moved through the ruined landscape like ghosts, using skills and enhancements that made them nearly invisible to alien sensors. Each team had been given a simple mission: reconnaissance, harassment, and elimination of high-value targets. But as they observed the alien occupation forces and saw the scope of the devastation, their mission parameters began to expand. The Kethmoran Empire had killed 8 billion humans in 3 days. Now they would learn why that had been a mistake. The American Boogeyman was about to wake up, and it was very, very angry. Sergeant Marcus Reaper Johnson crouched in the shadows of what had once been downtown Denver, watching a Kethmoran patrol march through the rubble-strewn streets. His enhanced vision systems automatically cataloged their weapons, movement patterns, and potential weaknesses. The aliens moved in tight formation, their energy rifles sweeping methodically from side to side. Professional, disciplined, confident. They had no idea they were being hunted. Marcus touched the neural interface behind his left ear, activating his team's communication network. "Ghost Team, this is Reaper. I count 12 hostiles, standard patrol formation. Weapons appear to be plasma-based, possibly lethal to unenhanced humans at 50 meters. "Copy that, Reaper," came the response from Corporal Lisa Phantom Rodriguez. "I'm in position on the south side, ready to engage on your signal." "Wraith here," added Staff Sergeant David Wraith Kim from his position atop a collapsed office building. "I have overwatch. 2 more patrols approaching from the east, approximately 4 minutes out." Marcus felt the familiar coldness settle over him as his enhanced adrenal system engaged. The Project Lazarus modifications hadn't just improved his physical capabilities. They had rewired his nervous system to function optimally under extreme stress. Fear, doubt, and hesitation were chemically suppressed, while tactical awareness, reaction time, and aggression were amplified. But the anger was all his own. He had been born in Denver, had grown up playing in the parks that were now radioactive craters. His family, his wife Sarah, his twin daughters Emma and Chloe, had been visiting his parents in suburban Aurora when the bombardment began. The aliens had vaporized everything within a 30-mile radius of the city center. 37 years of life, of memories, of love, reduced to atomic dust in seconds. The Kethmoran Empire would pay for every single death. "Reaper to all teams, execute!" Marcus moved like liquid shadow, his enhanced musculature propelling him across the distance to the patrol in seconds. His combat knife, a monomolecular blade that could cut through Kethmoran armor, found the throat of the rear guard before the alien could even register his presence. The creature gurgled once and collapsed. Phantom emerged from her hiding spot like an avenging spirit. Her hands, enhanced with subdermal armor plating and hydraulic amplifiers, crushed the windpipe of another patrol member with casual efficiency. The alien's energy weapon discharged harmlessly into the sky. Wraith's contribution was more subtle but equally deadly. The electromagnetic pulse rifle he carried, reverse-engineered from captured alien technology and modified by human ingenuity, sent a focused burst of energy that overloaded the patrol's communication equipment and targeting systems. Suddenly, the disciplined alien soldiers found themselves blind and deaf in the middle of a combat zone. The entire engagement lasted 18 seconds. As the last Kethmoran soldier fell, Marcus knelt beside the body and began the process of field stripping their equipment. Project Lazarus operatives had been trained not just to kill efficiently, but to learn from every encounter. Each dead alien provided intelligence, technology, and tactical insights that could be used against their forces. "Reaper to base," Marcus reported. "Package delivered. 12 hostiles down. 0 casualties on our side. Harvesting intel and equipment now." "Copy, Ghost Team," came General Hayes' voice from the mountain facility. "Outstanding work. We're getting similar reports from teams across the operational area. The aliens are starting to realize they have a problem." Indeed they were. In the command center of his dreadnought, Admiral Zexhai stared at a holographic display showing patrol routes across North America. Red markers indicated lost contact with ground teams. In the past 6 hours, 17 patrols had simply vanished. No distress signals, no signs of major combat, no indication of what was happening to his soldiers. "Increase patrol sizes to 24 personnel," he ordered, "and deploy hunter-killer drones to provide overwatch." Lieutenant Yexmar shifted uncomfortably. "Admiral, our xenological profiles suggest that human resistance should be minimal. Their military infrastructure has been destroyed, their governments eliminated. These attacks should not be possible." "Then our profiles were incomplete," Zexhai replied coldly. "The humans are demonstrating capabilities we did not anticipate. Adapt accordingly." What the Admiral could not know was that his forces were facing something entirely outside their experience. The Kethmoran Empire had conquered dozens of worlds, but they had always fought conventional battles against conventional militaries. They understood organized resistance, guerrilla warfare, and even fanatical last stands. What they had never encountered was surgically precise violence executed by individuals who had been specifically designed to hunt and kill superior alien technology. 300 miles away, Captain Rebecca Valkyrie Morrison was demonstrating exactly why the alien profiles were inadequate. Her target was a Kethmoran mining operation in the ruins of Salt Lake City, where several hundred human survivors were being used as forced labor. The facility was heavily defended, surrounded by energy barriers and patrolled by automated defense systems. Valkyrie had been a Marine Force recon specialist before Project Lazarus, with expertise in deep reconnaissance and direct action missions. The enhancements had improved her natural talents exponentially. Her skeleton had been reinforced with carbon nanotube fibers, her muscles augmented with synthetic protein chains, and her nervous system upgraded with quantum processing nodes. But more importantly, she had been psychologically conditioned to view alien oppressors not as a superior enemy to be feared, but as a problem to be solved through applied violence. She approached the facility during the darkest part of the night, moving through the terrain with inhuman grace. Her enhanced vision systems painted the landscape in perfect detail, highlighting guard positions, sensor arrays, and structural weak points. The aliens had built their facility using standard Imperial doctrine, overwhelming firepower concentrated in defensive positions. They had not planned for a single individual who could bypass their sensors, climb their walls, and systematically eliminate their guards without triggering any alarms. Valkyrie began with the perimeter sentries. Each guard station was eliminated with clinical precision. A thrown knife here, a broken neck there, always from angles the alien sensors could not detect. Her enhanced reflexes allowed her to move between camera sweeps, while her modified metabolism prevented her from showing up on thermal imaging. Within 30 minutes, she had cleared the entire outer perimeter without triggering a single alert. The inner facility required different tactics. Valkyrie activated her electronic warfare suite, a collection of devices that would have been impossible for an unenhanced human to carry and operate simultaneously. Electromagnetic pulse grenades disabled local sensor networks, while signal jammers prevented communication with the main base. Plasma cutting tools, miniaturized but incredibly powerful, sliced through alien metallurgy like it was paper. She moved through the facility like a force of nature, eliminating alien overseers and disabling security systems. The human prisoners, initially terrified by the sudden darkness and chaos, began to realize that someone was fighting for them. "This is Valkyrie," she broadcast on general frequencies as she reached the facility's main power core. "All human personnel, evacuate to minimum safe distance. You have 2 minutes." The refugees fled into the night as Valkyrie attached her final surprise to the mining operation's main reactor. The device was simple in concept, but devastating in execution. A gravity bomb that would create a localized singularity for approximately 0.3 seconds. Long enough to turn the entire facility into a perfectly spherical crater, but brief enough to avoid affecting the surrounding area. As she withdrew to her own safe distance, Valkyrie allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The aliens had killed billions of humans, but they were about to learn that the survivors would not go quietly into extinction. The explosion lit up the night sky like a miniature star, visible for hundreds of miles. In command centers across the region, both human and alien, the message was received loud and clear. The American Boogeyman was no longer hiding in the shadows. It was hunting. Admiral HFY stood before the holographic representation of Earth, his forearms trembling with barely controlled rage. In the 3 weeks since the facility at Salt Lake City had been destroyed, his losses had escalated beyond anything in Imperial military history. 47 mining operations eliminated. 116 patrols missing. 3 entire companies of elite troops simply vanished during what should have been routine pacification missions. "Report," he demanded. Colonel Vexthor, his head of military intelligence, approached with obvious reluctance. "Admiral, we have identified the source of resistance. The humans appear to have deployed a special forces unit with capabilities far beyond our initial assessments. Our analysis suggests between 60 and 80 enhanced individuals operating across the North American continent." "Enhanced how?" "Unknown, sir. They demonstrate reaction times 30% faster than baseline human norms, physical strength approximately 3 times human average, and tactical awareness that suggests advanced neural processing. Most concerning, they appear to have access to weapons and equipment that we cannot identify." HFY's mandibles clicked in frustration. 60 humans, 60, against an occupation force of 12,000 elite Imperial Marines. "Sir, these are not ordinary humans. Our combat analysts believe they may be the result of a secret military program. They fight with a level of skill and coordination that suggests extensive training and enhancement." What Colonel Vexthor could not know was that Project Lazarus had produced something far more dangerous than enhanced soldiers. Dr. Chen's team had created modern versions of America's most enduring cultural archetype, the lone warrior who stands against impossible odds and refuses to surrender. Major Thomas "Savage" Williams embodied this archetype perfectly as he stalked through the ruins of Chicago, hunting the Kethmaran colonel who had ordered the execution of human prisoners. Williams had been a Delta Force operator before his enhancement, specializing in high-value target elimination in urban environments. The modifications had turned him into something that existed in the nightmares of occupying forces everywhere. His target, Colonel Nexavorn, had established his headquarters in the former Willis Tower, now reinforced with Imperial technology and defended by 2 companies of troops. The building was a fortress, surrounded by energy barriers and automated defense systems, monitored by orbital satellites and protected by air patrols. Williams studied the fortress from his position 2 miles away, his enhanced vision systems providing telescope-quality magnification. His tactical processing implants analyzed guard rotations, identified structural weaknesses, and calculated optimal entry routes. But the real weapon was his absolute commitment to the mission. The aliens had made one crucial error in their understanding of human psychology. They assumed that overwhelming firepower and superior technology would break human morale, as it had with every other species they had conquered. They did not understand that for some humans, impossible odds were not a deterrent. They were a challenge. Williams began his assault at sunset, using the natural light transitions to mask his movement. He approached the building through the ruins of the underground tunnel system, navigating by memory and enhanced spatial awareness. The tunnels had been damaged in the bombardment, but remained partially intact, providing a route that bypassed most of the exterior defenses. His first objective was the building's power grid. The aliens had integrated their technology with human infrastructure, creating a hybrid system that was powerful but vulnerable to someone who understood both technologies. Williams had spent days studying captured alien equipment, learning how their systems functioned and where they could be disrupted. The power station was heavily guarded, but Williams had advantages the guards could not anticipate. His enhanced hearing allowed him to track their movements through walls, while his modified metabolism made him virtually undetectable to thermal sensors. He moved through the facility like a ghost, eliminating sentries with weapons that had been specifically designed to defeat alien armor. When the building's lights went out, Colonel Nexavorn knew he was under attack. But the aliens' response protocols had been designed for conventional assault, not for a single individual who could operate effectively in complete darkness. Their thermal imaging systems, designed to track large groups of attackers, failed to detect one enhanced human moving with superhuman stealth. Williams made his way through the darkened building floor by floor, eliminating guards and disabling systems with methodical precision. His enhanced neural processing allowed him to maintain perfect spatial awareness, even in total darkness, while his modified reflexes let him engage multiple targets simultaneously. By the time he reached the command floor, the aliens were in full panic. Colonel Nexavorn had barricaded himself in his office, surrounded by his personal guard and protected by portable energy shields. The room was a fortress within a fortress, designed to withstand conventional assault indefinitely. Williams studied the defensive setup through the building's internal sensors, which he had taken control of during his ascent. The aliens had created an impressive defensive position. But they had made one critical assumption, that their attacker would come through the door. Instead, Williams used a shaped charge to blow through the floor beneath the colonel's office. He emerged from the explosion like an avenging demon, his enhanced armor protecting him from debris while his weapons systems engaged the startled guards. The entire firefight lasted less than 10 seconds, ending when Williams placed his sidearm against Colonel Nexavorn's head and pulled the trigger. As he prepared to leave the building, Williams activated his communication system. "Savage to all frequencies, including alien channels. This is a message to the occupying forces. You killed 8 billion humans. We're going to return the favor, one alien at a time. No quarter asked, no quarter given. The American Boogeyman is coming for all of you." The message was received by Keth-Moran forces across the continent, and its effect was immediate. For the first time in Imperial history, frontline troops began requesting transfers away from Earth. The psychological warfare was working exactly as intended, but the real impact was felt in the command center of Admiral Zexhi's dreadnought. For the first time since arriving at Earth, the Admiral was forced to consider the possibility that his forces might not be sufficient to maintain control of the planet. "Admiral," reported his communications officer, "we are receiving messages from Imperial Command. They are concerned about our casualty reports." Zexhi read the encrypted message with growing alarm. Imperial Command was questioning his competence, demanding explanations for losses that exceeded acceptable parameters, and threatening to replace him with someone who could maintain proper control over a primitive species. "Sir," Colonel Vexthor interrupted, "we have a new development. Our orbital sensors are detecting organized activity in multiple locations across the continent. The humans appear to be coordinating their attacks." Indeed, they were. General Hayes had been monitoring the operations of her enhanced teams with growing satisfaction. The individual strikes had been successful beyond her most optimistic projections, but now it was time to escalate to the next phase of resistance. "All team leaders, this is command," she broadcast on the secure network that connected every Project Lazarus operative. "Phase 1 operations have exceeded all expectations. The enemy is demoralized and beginning to make tactical errors. We are now implementing Phase 2, coordinated strikes on high-value strategic targets." Across North America, 68 enhanced warriors received their new mission parameters. No longer would they operate as individual hunters. Now they would function as a coordinated force, striking simultaneously at targets that would cripple the alien occupation infrastructure. The plan was audacious in its scope. Simultaneous attacks on orbital communication relays, ground-based command centers, supply depots, and transportation hubs. Each strike would be coordinated to maximize the psychological impact while demonstrating that human resistance was not random violence, but organized warfare. As the enhanced teams began moving toward their targets, Admiral Zexhai made a decision that would haunt him for the rest of his career. Faced with mounting casualties and pressure from Imperial Command, he authorized the deployment of orbital bombardment against suspected human-resistant strongholds. It was exactly the response General Hayes had been hoping for. The orbital strikes destroyed several square miles of abandoned territory, creating impressive explosions, but killing no enhanced operatives. But the attacks were broadcast on every available frequency, showing the galaxy that the mighty Kethmoran Empire was so threatened by human resistance that they were forced to bombard empty land. More importantly, the strikes revealed the exact locations and firing patterns of the alien orbital platforms, information that would prove crucial in the final phase of the resistance campaign. As the alien bombardment lit up the night sky, the American Boogeyman prepared for its ultimate hunt, the ships themselves.